Hello and welcome back to the podcast. For those of you who are new around here, my name is Ruth and I started this podcast to amplify the voices of women in leadership, to talk about what we do beyond the school gate, the good, the bad and the funny. Today's episode is based on something that I heard and I thought, wow, I really wanted to share this with you guys. Nearly a year ago, I changed my job into a role that's more, I suppose you would consider in the corporate services space rather than a service delivery area in the community services space. That was an intentional decision, but I hadn't framed it in a way of what are you good at that you're not able to do. One of the reasons I took that job was that it allowed me to use a skill set that some of the other roles I have been in over the last 20 years of working in the sector didn't allow me to use on a day-to-day basis. Whilst it allowed me to dip into these skill sets kind of every now and then, it wasn't the majority of my focus in those roles. And I just thought that's such an interesting question. So something you enjoy doing or a skill that you have that you actually just don't use it. Either your life doesn't create a space for you to use it, or it's not as necessarily an experience set that's needed in your employment. My brain automatically went to my day job. And then I also thought, well, it doesn't have to be a work-related thing. It can be a skill set or experience or something that you're good at that you don't get to use day to day. It can be a hobby. It can be something around the house. It can be something in your relationship or in your environment. And I think that's probably why over the last year I've had such a sense of satisfaction and achievement in my role, is because I'm actually able to use a skill set that I haven't been able to use for a long time and really hone it and have that be 90% of what I do day to day, which is pretty exciting. I know that I'm definitely fortunate to be in a position to do that. And then my brain then went full circle to the podcast. I really like to meet new people and make new friends. And there's a joke amongst me and my family around that I don't collect things, I collect people. And I think it is pretty true. I really like connecting with people from different backgrounds, human to human, and creating that opportunity for that sense of belonging and connection, which is so closely linked to personal well-being and our whole kind of personal well-being index. And I thought, I've created environments in the workplace, but outside of the workplace, to do something that I was going to say I think I'm good at. And I hope you caught that hesitation in my voice. I corrected myself and said I am good at, which is talking to people and building those relationships and building those connections. And I decided to do it outside of a work environment when I say work, I mean work, inverted commas? You know what I mean? I decided to do it from a business perspective and started the podcast. And another thing that I'm really good at, my new role in the more corporate space doesn't afford me to do, because I have a super small team of one person and me. I've established a coaching and mentoring company over the last few months. I think the most common thing that people have said to me when I started the podcast and this coaching company is that, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's your calling. Like that's your vibe. That's so your jam. And I thought, wow, that was actually other people reflecting and saying, you're good at that. And in this current role over the last year, I haven't used those skills massively, but I wanted a little bit more structure, but also freedom around that. So I have started this coaching company and I thought, wow, that was an unintentional way, along with the podcast, of doing something that I am good at doing that I don't get to do often. So I suppose this is a little bit of a challenge to you guys to commit to doing or engaging in something that you're good at, but you don't get to do often. Pop over on Instagram, it's BTSG podcast over there, and either DM me or comment on a post and tell me something that you are good at, but you don't often get the chance to do. Or you've already made this decision before listening to this podcast to weave more into your life what you're good at but you don't get to do often. I'm really excited to hear the variety, be it in a workplace, be it what you do at home with your children, side hustles, businesses, hobbies, in relationships, on your own, just anything. I'm really excited to hear your stories because I think there's so many things that we are good at, and I think sometimes we forget because they're not at the forefront. Our life or our environment doesn't create that space, or we haven't created that space for that to happen. I look forward to engaging with you over on Instagram in the comments.